Hello there, and welcome to the craziest chess game you never saw. This game will feature one of the most amazing combinations I've seen in chess. Unfortunately, it wasn't played, it was a missed opportunity, but either way, what a game. Let's check it out. It was played in 2012 at the Asian Continental. With the white pieces, we had Ni Hua. He's a Chinese player, rated 2673, has been around 2700 for a long time. Very strong player. And then we have Le Quang Liem, the strongest player from Vietnam. At the time rated over 2700, which I believe he still is. And a one-time World Blitz Champion. Now, the game featured a very sharp opening, the so-called Nitor variation of the Sicilian, which we will check out. E4, c5, knight f3, d6, and d4 signals the open Sicilian. Knight takes d4, knight f6, attacking the pawn, defending it, and now a6, and this is the starting move of the so-called Nitor variation. One of the most popular and sharpest lines in all of chess. Now Ni Hua plays bishop to e3 here, and usually that means after e6 that white would go for some kind of English attack, as it's called, with f3, queen d2, and in some order long castles and g4, g5. So white will castle on the queen side, black usually on the king side, and we have an exciting game. In this one, Ni Hua opted for bishop to e2, and after queen c7, he played aggressively here with g4. Now black has some options to sort of play against this aggressive move. He can play h6 to prevent the immediate g5, or he can play d5 to break in the center. But in the game, Le Quang Liem went for b5, which allows white to play g5 here, and the knight now retreats to d7. But having played b5, black is ready to swing the knight over to b6, and very often it can become useful here on the c4 square. White opts for playing a3 here. And it's always a question if you should take the time to slow down black's attack on the queen side. a3 does stop b4, but on the other hand, once black has organized and has played a5 and b4, he will most certainly open up the queen side. So it's always, there are pros and cons to this move. Bishop b7, getting on with it, queen to d2, knight c6, and now Ni Hua decided to take. He did not want to, sort of give black maybe a free hand, playing maybe knight a5, c4, knight e5, probably stronger. So knight takes c6 and then f4, trying to get his attack going as soon as possible. But Le Quang Liem, he counterattacks. He plays a knight into c5, hitting the pawn on e4. Ni Hua defends. Le Quang Liem increases the pressure. Now the pawn is under attack. We have to defend it, and Ni Hua went queen to d4. He could also take on c5, but that's positionally not very good. Black would take and not have many problems. He's ready to play b4, and he has the bishop pair. So in the game, queen d4 was the chosen move. Now e5 by Le Quang Liem, trying to stake his claim in the center. And this is a small tactical operation. After takes, we're not taking because queen takes, but we're playing the in-between move, knight to e6, hitting the queen, which has to move, and now we can take on e5. So that's what Le Quang Liem did, and now knight hops into d5 for the Chinese Ni Hua. Bishop d6 looks odd because can we play knight f6? No, we can't, and Ni Hua didn't. Why didn't he play that? Because black will take it. And once we take this bishop, we don't have time for anything. We can't take this because our bishop is under attack. And if you take on e4, queen takes, and there's an attack here, and an attack here. And black has time to defend. White doesn't have dangerous enough threats to warrant this investment. So Ni Hua, in fact, castled here. Castle queenside, and Le Quang Liem castles king side. So the battle lines are drawn. And the next few moves show what's going on and what's going down. It's a battle for time. h4 for white, a5 by black, h5 by white. He wants to crash open on the king side, b4 by black. So black is kind of striking first. Because of this hook here on a3, white kind of has to do something here. And probably the best move is to play something like a4, just to slow down black opening lines on the queen side. So after takes, we even have time for this. And now I move like h6, and white is actually striking first. But in the game, white played h6. And now b takes a3 by the black player. B takes a3. We can't take it. There's a mate threat immediately on b2. We have to deal with it. We don't have time for our own attack, so b3. Black goes on with it. Rook after c8. Anticipating takes, moving the rook out of the way, and now black wants to make something happen on the queen side. Now white goes in here for a somewhat greedy move. Knight b6, I'm not sure the position warrants that you go for material, but we are attacking the bishop on d6, and we are attacking both rooks. b4 slipped from my tongue because the bishop is coming to b4. That's what black played, bishop to b4. Queen is attacked, we have to move. But still, we have this attack here on the knights, by the knight on the rooks. But do we have time to take anything? We probably don't. If the bishop takes e4, white played a takes g7, trying to get on with the attack. I mean, the rooks are still under attack. We don't have to take them immediately. So white wants to open the h-file, create some threats. So black can't now take on f3. Then we take on h7, checkmate. This game is getting really, really complicated. I mean, there's a pawn here about the queen. There's a rook down here. There's stuff going on here. There's a pin here. There's a hanging piece. Everything going on. Even this. So, very demanding game for the players, of course. I would like to mention that in the game, black played a2. But I would like to mention that rook takes c2 is not working, because we can simply take this rook. After all, there's a pin on the queen, so you can't take because of this. And white is up some material. Still complicated, but not working. So in the game, black played a2. King came to b2 because, well, a1 queen with mate was indeed threatened. And black gets on with it. a4, he wants to open up the position. White opted to keep it closed with c4, or at least try to. But it's getting difficult. If you now go for material, let's say knight takes c8, and you try to, well, stop black a little bit, you're in big trouble because bishop c3 is landing. I mean, all the black pieces are very active, so white needs to be very careful. He doesn't have time for such moves, and this just mates in the end here. So that's why he opted to try to keep it closed here. After a4, he played pawn c4. C takes b3. This is getting crazy. And now g6. Wow, wow, wee, wow. Trying to keep the bishop from defending h7. So now the threat is to take this pawn. This is the critical moment of the game. In the game, this move, h5, was played. And that was not good. White took it. Threatening mate. Bishop a3 was played, but king takes b3, and black figured out that, well, I can't stop the mate. There's a mate threat here. There's a mate threat here. We don't have time to take this because queen h7. Then we queen with check. Disaster. We also don't have time after this to take with the bishop because it's just made on h8. We don't have time to take with the knight because made on h8. So black resigned. Sad part is that in this position, black could have played one of the most spectacular combinations I have ever seen. I could tell you to pause the video and try to find it, but I can sort of promise you that you won't. So I think let's just see what could have happened and enjoy the show. So black should have played bishop to a3 check. Now we have a choice here. We can take the pawn, we can play king c3 or king a1. I'm going to end with the main line. So first we're going to look at king to a1. In that case, we can just push the pawn, b2. If queen takes b2, you just lose the queen. If you take on a2, I have several moves. b1 queen, just nice. Bishop c5 is also quite easy. Queen takes b6, and we mate. Check on the b file. Now you see how active the pieces are. If you go here, this bishop takes e3, and then mate on a b1. So that was king a1. There's also king to c3. When we actually make a queen here, if he starts running, we just give a check, we bring the rook in, bishop takes f3 and then bring the rook in and then just take the queen. It's just too much material. Now king t2 is obviously not forced, we can also take the queen, but then we see a very nice pattern, rook takes c4, and you can't take it because of queen b4 checkmate. Bishop is covering this, the pawn is covering this, and yeah, this is a very, very efficient mate. Okay, but we do have the king takes b3. Similar to what happened in the game, but there is a difference. And here we can play a1 knight. Oh no, what is this? Some kind of sorcery? The rook has to take, right? If king c3, rook takes c4 again. And we know what happens if knight takes. We've seen that pattern. Queen b4 check, which is mate. So the king would have to run, but now we just start to grab material. Too much material. So, how about taking the knight? Rook takes a1. Now the fun is starting. Queen takes b6. We take the knight. What the hell is this? Bishop takes? Do we even have a check? We do. Knight d4. What's going on here? Okay, first, king c3. Again, rook takes c4. The king isn't going anywhere. If you take on c4, rook c8. This is actually mate. Look at this. This is very efficient. Bishop covers this. This knight is covering these squares. Bishop covers these. And check on the c file. Absolutely amazing. Also, if the king goes to d2, he should get mated pretty quickly here. It's just a matter of figuring out. Probably bishop c4. Bishop b4, I mean. Doesn't this mate? If I go here, there's knight f5. No, it's not mate. No. No. Where's the mate here? Okay, I forgot to check this line. It might be bishop c1 or something. Forgot to check this line, guys. Now we just take on f3. Yeah, and we win all the material. We're up by everything. We just take on h2. Okay. I was searching for mate, but it was just simple. Okay, so that's king d2. And finally, last but not least, after knight d4, we take it. Bishop takes d4. Rook c to b8 check. And this is just absolutely beyond evil. Bishop b4. Look at these bishops, like crossing the board here. These squares are all covered directly or via an x-ray. So the king has to go back, and now simply bishop d2. Nothing for white here. Yeah, king b2 is actually... You try to go here, but then bishop d2. And you have nothing better than bishop b6. And I take, and it is checkmate. Yeah, certainly one of the most amazing combinations I have seen. You know, there's an under promotion, there's a queen sack. And you just give up a knight. There are lines where you sack the rook. It's just completely insane. Ending with these beautiful piece coordinations and very efficient mates. So if you don't like this, you don't like chess, and that's why you're gonna leave a like on this video, and I will see you again in another video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.